my most amazing artist, and welcome back to Art with Miss Yazel. Let's review what we did the last time I talked to you. I posted a video of this Native American inspired drawing of a bird, and I wanted you to practice your drawing skills and be inspired by this kind of design. I thought it was really cool. So I hope you had fun practicing your drawing skills. And today we're going to be learning about optical illusions. Optical means something to do with your vision or your eyes, and illusion means a trick. So we put those together and we get an eye trick, a trick of the eye that is created in a drawing. So there is a name for that kind of art, and it's called op art. And we're going to look at some artists who did some op art and do a little optical illusion test that you might remember from when you were in second grade, because I always do an op art lesson with my second graders. And this year I've created op art lessons for every grade level. Everybody's doing something different. You guys are going to be doing this. I'm going to say undulating. Undulating means wavy. Wavy design that looks like it's going down into to the middle. Okay, so it looks like you can look into the design, and it also looks like it's wavy. So there's two illusions going on there. So we're going to look at the artist. When something plays a trick on your eye, it's called an optical illusion. Op art is art that tricks your eye. M.C. Escher is one of the most famous op artists. He created pictures that were all different kinds of illusions. This one is just a reflection of himself into a shiny ball, and that is very difficult to do because it's hard to draw something and make it look shiny. He also created this picture of the staircases that are going up and down, and you don't have a clear idea of which way to look at this picture. So you can look at it from several different perspectives to see which way the people are going up or down the stairs. It's kind of confusing. He also created pictures that were called tessellations. Tessellations is a math thing that you guys do, and it is changing the shape, and the shapes will fit together like a puzzle, kind of like this black and white lizard design that Escher has created. He did lots and lots of these kinds of designs. This one, the fish changes into a bird when you move to the top of the paper. But in between, you can see that the fish is going from dark to lighter, and you can see the outline, and you can't tell whether it's a positive or a negative shape, whether it's just a space where there's nothing, or if it's actually taking up space. So he's playing with the idea of positive and negative space there. We're going to do a test with your eyes, and this is called like a science experiment. So it's about after images. When you look at something and you stare at a color for a long time, and then you look into an empty space, you can still see the opposite of that color, and that's called an after image. Your eye is remembering those colors, but it's also changing them, and it is making them the opposite of what they were when you originally looked at it. So this purple smiley face would be, the opposite would be yellow. Yellow is across from purple on the color wheel. Red and green are also opposites, and blue and orange are also opposites. We call these complementary colors in art, these pairs. So we're going to look at the purple smiley face. When I go to the next slide, you're going to look at the purple smiley face for 10 seconds, and I'll count for you. And then you're going to look to the right at the white space and see if you can see the after image. Stare at his nose. Now stare at the white square. Give your eyes a minute to adjust, and you should see a yellow smiley face on the right. Kind of cool, huh? So let's try one more. This one is the blue on the top, orange on the bottom. Again, these are complements. So what's going to happen is they're going to trade places. Stare at the black dot in between the two squares for 10 seconds. Now stare at the black dot on the right. The colors should change. You should see orange on the top and blue on the bottom now. So, optical illusions are a trick of your eye, just like these after images are. So, Bridget Riley is a famous op artist who created pictures that look like they were moving. This one looks like it's spiraling down into the center, and this one looks like it's waving, and it sometimes hurts your eyes if you look at them too long. These are look like spheres trying to come through the paper, and they're poking out at you. This one is just a swirling kind of picture. And this one looks like it's going down into the middle of the page, and it also looks like it's moving. So you get the idea. Op art is optical illusions. We're going to create this one right here. You're going to need paper, a ruler, a pencil, and something to color with. Get your supplies. You're going to need a piece of white paper, a ruler, a pencil. You can use crayons and markers to color this optical illusion. I would suggest a black marker or a black crayon, and then you're going to need some complementary colors. You can use colors that are across from each other on the color wheel to create the contrast that is going to make this look really like an illusion. So here are the complementary colors. You could use red and green. You could use orange and blue. Or you could use purple and yellow. Choose one of those three complementary pairs to draw this optical illusion. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to make a design that radiates from the center. So like the example we saw, there are lots of diagonal lines. I'm going to pretend this is the center, and I'm going to put my ruler right up next to that. I don't want these sections to be too large, so I'm just going to try to eyeball it and not get, eyeball it means just judge it by your eye. Try not to get them too wide. Mine are about 3 fingers wide at the edge of the page so if you want to judge it by how many fingers, you could do that. This ruler has a crack in it. I did not notice that before. So I'm going to keep going and try to keep the sections about the same size. This is not an exact thing, so actually let's do one right here. Even though the ruler doesn't go all the way to the edge of the paper, I'm going to stop, move it down, line it up with the middle dot, and did not move my pencil so that I could line it up on the other side. If you had to measure these, they are about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, no, 2 inches. 2 inches for each section. So I'm going to put my ruler there in the center again and make the line go all the way to the edge. So if my ruler's not quite long enough, I have to move it and just keep it lined up with that center dot. Okay, so just making diagonal lines all the way around. I think I'm going to do one more and then I'm done. Okay, so I've got this design that comes out like the spokes on a wheel, right? And we're going to turn it into this right here. and it looks like it's wavy, and that you're looking down into the center of it. So I would suggest you use the darker color that you when you start coloring, use the darker color in the middle. I used orange there, and I think it's not quite as effective, but you can see how the coloring that I did makes it look like it's a wavy kind of funnel that's going down into the center. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So you're going to need to make sure that you have 1, 2, 3. So I have 12 sections. You probably need an even number of sections for this to work. So I hope I have an even number. 1, 2, 3, 16. I'm good. So the first lines you're going to make, I'm going to go ahead and draw with my marker. You can draw this out with pencil and then go over it with marker. I'm just going to draw with marker so that you can see what I'm doing. So the first design that we do going in the middle is going to be, I kept them about an inch and a half apart. So it's going to be a curved line that's curving out. Okay. The next line that's next to it is going to curve in, and then out, and then in. But you want to try to keep it as close to the same distance from this dot in the middle. So don't start doing it and start getting way out here. Out, in, out, in, out, in. Yeah. So that turned out perfect. I didn't end up with the wrong number of where an out was meeting an out, or an in was meeting an in. So remember to do this. Make sure you have even number of sections when you do this. Okay. So the next section, I'm looking at what the one I just did to try to keep it the same distance. And did you see what I just did? 2 outs. 2 outs. When you're drawing your lines, make sure that you're going section by section and not trying to just do this, because you're going to get off track, and then you won't have, the lines won't end at the sections, and that's where they need to start and stop. So start at a line, end at a line. Start at a line, end at a line. Every time you go around, make sure that you're, okay, so this one would be way out here off the page, so I'm not going to draw one there. But this one would probably start here and go off the page. So you kind of have to guess where the next line is going to be if it's going off the page. In, out, in, and out. So mine's getting kind of crooked, but that's okay. It still looks really cool because it's got that wavy effect. So I'm not going to have a section there, but I am going to have one here, and it's going to go up to the next section, and then this one's going to go out, and that one goes off the page. Over here, this one's going off the page. Down here, this one's going off the page. Okay, so you just kind of have to guess at it. So after you've finished doing all those lines, you can also go back and outline all of your straight lines. It's much easier to go down the page to try to draw these straight lines than to try to go across the page. So just turn it as you go. Just will spin your paper. Each time you draw a line, move it to where you can just go straight down the page. And this marker is starting to run out, so I'm going to switch markers and use this tip of this black marker. If you hold it nice and straight up and down, you can get a nice skinny line from a wide marker because it has a point. You're going to keep going all the way around and do all of your spokes on the wheel. It kind of reminds me of the spokes on a bicycle. This design is also considered a radial design, which means it's the same coming out from the center going in all directions. That's called radial symmetry. I'm going to use these two colors to color this. Even though the example has 3, you could throw in a 3rd color if you'd like. But the orange and the blue are the complementary colors that are really going to make this stand out. I forgot to add that you're going to need either to be able to control how dark or heavy or lightly you press on these crayons. So the darkest values are going to be at the edges, okay, at the edges of each section. So I'm going to start with my dark color in the center. So if you're using purple and yellow, which one is your dark color? Purple, of course. And if you are using red and green, green is your darker color. So just outline each section in this little area because it's hard to go back and forth in this tiny section. So, but you're going to have to be using some different ways of coloring in the other sections. But I'll show you that in a minute. Right now, I just want you to concentrate on outlining each one of these sections. Now, we're going to try to create a shaded effect. If you look closely, you can see that the dark colors are at the edge, and then it gets lighter, and then it is super light in the middle. How did I do that? I used a lighter, you can use a lighter color crayon to do that, or you can use a lighter pressure when you color. So I could do this with this lighter crayon and create that effect of lighter in the middle. And you probably do need to color in the direction that you're trying to lead somebody's eye. I'll show you that in a minute. Like I said, you can't do that too well here because it is such a tight space. But on the bigger sections, I'll be able to show you better. So let me finish this center. This one's a little bigger, so I can show you here. So basically, I'm going back and forth toward the center, kind of curving these lines because you're kind of leading the person's eye around the space. And then in the middle, I'm just going to color lightly. And like I said, you could do that better in the bigger areas, but in these little small sections, it's hard. Okay, so I've picked 3 different values for the orange because it's a little harder to show dark values with orange. It's not a very dark color. So this is a red orange. Red orange is going to go at the edges. Kind of going to go back and forth, but I don't want those lines to show. It's hard to get rid of them, but I'm going to go back with a regular orange over top of this area that I just kind of scribbled. And then I'm going to go with my lightest value right in the center to show a little bit of light on the top of the curve. or the bottom of the curve, whichever one it is. So edge here is going to be darker, red and orange, red orange, and orange, and then macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese is like a yellow orange. Okay, so if you have yellow orange, that will work for. So red, orange, orange, and yellow orange. So we've got some different values or different intermediates and the secondary color. So each pair of complementary colors is made up of one primary and one secondary. Fun fact. So blue is a primary, orange is a secondary, red is a primary, green is a secondary. So you get the idea. So each pair of complements has one of each. So you get the idea. You're going to be doing that so that you can create that undulating effect. And then that's the final product. And like I said, try to get the lightest value right there in the center of each of those sections so that it looks like it's rounded and then the light's hitting the top of it, okay? And that's what creates that optical illusion. I hope you have fun creating this. It's really